all the rage just now, isn't it? Hitting out on the use of smartphones. We're addicted, we're being manipulated. So I invite you to join me now on this journey of discovery of the dreaded screens. Okay, so this is going to be a long one. You know that my main message at the moment is about nurturing resilience. Resilience in ourselves, resilience in our families, our communities, and our society. Well, resilience isn't just about breathing exercises, mindfulness, and stress-relieving techniques, etc. It's about changing our perspective, about changing the way we look at the world, away from pathology and negativeness, and more towards value and importance and priority. So try this. If you get a piece of blank white paper and draw a small black dot in the middle, and then ask around at what people see on the page, most will tell you, that's right, you guessed it, correctly, a black dot. So yes, of course there is a black dot, but there is a much larger white space. So why do we focus only on the black dot? Remember, wherever our attention goes, energy flows. In other words, when we focus on something, that's what we give power to. So what I am trying to say is, let's practice changing our perspective on life. What we feel, what we experience. We don't change our thoughts, we don't change our feelings, we don't change our sensations or our experiences, but we look at them differently. We react to them differently. We have a different perspective on them. Less judgmental, kinder, more compassionate. We look and see from what perspective, what behaviour we need to change in order to live a higher quality life. So as an example of changing perspective, let's examine the screen syndrome. Yes, it's all the rage just now. We're hitting out on the use of smartphones. So are we addicted? Are we being manipulated? So just Googling dangers of smartphones reaps over 95,000 results. But I ask you, once again, are we just taking the view of pathology and symptomology and quite possibly avoiding looking at the real underlying root? Interestingly enough, 2 people I know pointed out to me that in a forthcoming study published in Frontiers in Psychology, Samuel Vessier and Maria Strendel, who are research in McGill's University Department of Psychiatry, reviewed current literature on dysfunctional use of smart technology. And what did they find? They found that the most addictive smartphone functions all shared a common theme. Now that's interesting. I wonder what common theme it can be. Well, it's the human desire to connect with other people. Well, this should not come as a surprise to anybody. In fact, the great wisdom traditions of this world have been telling us that since day one. More recently, in 2015, Carol Coletta wrote in the Huffington Post this: "The national conversation on poverty and income inequality is welcome and long overdue, of course. But there's something missing in many of the potential solutions on the table. Solving income inequality for the long term requires using the tools that we have available. It has to be in part about restoring our connections to each other. We need to understand that opportunity, whether economical or mental fitness or physical health or social structure, hinges on how we build our families, our communities and our society. Evidence is showing us that the more physically isolated we become from other individuals, the more difficult it is to learn, to form healthy relationships, and plug into opportunity when it arises. The bottom line is that it's not healthy and not in our best interests to go it alone. So we need to focus our resources on strategies that break down barriers and build connections in our families, in our communities, and our society, in order to counteract and become resilient to the negative effects of radical extremism in all of its guises: political, religious, economical, social. The list goes on and on and on. What the University of McGill is looking at is that quite possibly the antisocial behaviour brought on by our smartphone addiction could actually be a symptom of a craving of wanting to become more social and not what we originally thought, being antisocial. Professor Samuel Vissier explains that the desire to watch and monitor others, but also to be seen and monitored by others, is a uniquely human phenomenon, and that we require constant input from others to seek a guide for culturally appropriate behaviour. Right. This is also a way for us to find meaning, goals, and a sense of identity. And if I may add, in a world where meaning and identity is becoming much more of a fluid issue with unclear boundaries and unclear goals, this only adds to this need. Could then healthy urges lead to unhealthy behaviour? Well, in my opinion, absolutely. Scientist Matthew Lieberman posits that our need to connect is as fundamental as our need for food and water. And I add here that if that's so, and we are starved of food and water, we are driven to do almost anything to get it. So while smartphones harness our normal and healthy need for sociality, we need to reconsider the underlying outcry and need for physical social interaction. It's not a luxury, it's a vital need to our healthy survival. The researchers at McGill advise us to relax and celebrate the fact of your addiction reflects a normal urge to connect with others, to turn off push notifications and set appropriate times to check your phone. Intentionally and create intentional protocols with friends, family and work circles to set clear expectations on when to communicate. Well, that sounds a bit heavy to me, so I don't suppose that will be easy for most of us to do. So how about this? Having a screen-free day once a week. That's right, switch off technology day to reconnect with ourselves, our family and our friends, and our natural environment in a more physical way. Network with other human beings, talk, laugh, cry, whatever, but do it together. Let's see how you get on. And feel free to write in the comments or contact me through social media or email me. Details coming up on, well, yes, your screens.